Hello guys and girls, this is local experimentalist. Here we go.
Which means he is much better, and he's also like the likeness of the Son of God, and he's preaching to children. Yes? So he's much better than Jesus Christ. Are you going to worship him? Why not?
Take this. I agree with that because Muhammad went on the donkey to Jerusalem, didn't he? So the donkey had wings.
If the church is you are the light of the world. People follow us. People believe us. Why they argue with us?
Look who it is, guys. The one and only. I've got over 70 videos of him. Check him out.
Distracted you by a feeling that takes 3 seconds. Distracted you from the possibilities of the whole life being created. Distracted you from all the things that could possibly go wrong.
So what's his reason?
What's your motive for the 3 children that you had? What's my motive for the 3 children I had? Why did I do it? It's a question that unfortunately I only asked after I had them, which is why I will answer the question. You guys believe in rampant reproduction. The ultra-orthodox community has an average of 7 to 8 children per family. It's insane. Can you tell me? Okay, 5 minimum. Come on. There are people who've got 10 children, 12 children, 15 children in the community, and nobody says a thing about it. These people are looked at as if it's absolutely fine. It's completely bonkers. So before you ask me why I have my children, here's a question for you before it's too late. Why would you procreate?
He really likes you,
I would procreate for 2 reasons. One, because it's a biblical commandment to have children. And second of all, in order to pass my genes on to the next generation and educate them and give them good lives.
Okay, let's take those one by one.
He's got some nice wranglers. He wanted to pass them on.
Still correct. Okay, so let's.
So you accept those reasons? Do you accept those reasons?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to invite all of us together as a group to just have a little 30-second break. To give a bit of consideration to what has been said.
Does this involve taking our clothes off?
I will explain because then we might explain to you what he's actually said. I'll put it in slightly different language. He says he is having children because God told him to have children in the Bible, right? That's why he says, and the more the better.
Go forth and multiply.
The more the better.
Go forth and multiply.
That's his first reason for bringing people into existence. Right? His second reason for bringing people into existence is to pass on his genes. Yeah? Why?
Don't say it like that.
What exactly about your genes are worth passing on?
Well, the natural order of things is that animals, people naturally want to pass on their genes to the next generation.
No, that's not true. That's not the natural order of things. The natural order of things is that they all want to have sex. That's the natural order of things.
Where does
Now
that
look,
desire come from?
yes, where does that desire come from? It comes from your
the need.
DNA programming, which tricked you.
I don't think so.
Tricked your
why does that
parents.
DNA make you
Tricked
want to-
your parents.
We
into
haven't found
having
the
you.
gene for sexual
Right?
desire yet,
Now,
so I'm
hold
not
on
sure
a
that's
second.
true.
Hold on a second. Let's deal with this genetic. Yeah, what's so good about your genetics? We still haven't heard. Okay, so look around here, right? And ask. I want you to be
How
really
many are
honest here.
related to you?
How many people here? Hands up if you'd be quite happy for this man to be your dad.
No,
Wow.
how many people would have this man as your dad?
Okay. I mean, all I can say,
That was very
to you.
scientific.
I would want to be his
All
son
I
because
can-
he regret having this.
Now you see, the interesting thing about that is, for me, my interpretation of that is that you guys are either joking or you've got very low standards.
Well, are you serious?
Like, do you know
Are
what I
you
mean?
serious?
If you could choose anybody
I
to
thought
be
this was
your
a
dad,
comedy.
you choose this guy here.
That's quite a
Why?
circuits as well.
Yeah,
Why?
well, he's an ex-children.
You are selling yourself out too cheap. Oh, you're a nice
I'm a
fellow.
nice fellow.
You're a nice
I'm
fellow.
a nice fellow.
All right then. So now, even if you are a nice fellow, yes, and even if you marry a nice lady,
Oh, yeah.
and you procreate like rabbits, and you have sex because you like the feeling, but you pretend that you're
comparing
doing
him
it
to
for
an
God, because God told you via someone else a long time ago. Apparently, your great-great-great-great-grandparents were there, and they heard it all, and then there was the written law, and it was all interpreted, and you know what
Is
God
there a
wants you
shorter
to
version
do.
of this
You
rant?
know that God wants you to have lots of children, right?
Is he
I mean,
breathing?
seriously, how many people here believe that God wants this guy to procreate? This is what worries me about you. And you were asking me at the beginning, what do you think the effect of what I'm saying has on my children's mental health? Yeah? But what effect does what you're doing have on your own mental health? I mean, seriously, you are, in my opinion, you are going to bring people into existence, yeah, against their will, without their consent, risking all sorts of illnesses and diseases that they could have.
Sorry.
All
When
sorts
you,
of
sorry,
mental
when you have
and
children,
physical
it is by definition
diseases.
against
Yes,
their will
you are
and against their
taking
consent
a
because they
risk
don't
with
have the
somebody
ability
else's
to
life,
express anything.
and they might end up in a state that you would never ever choose to get into, and you're deluding yourself to think that you're
I think he's got some
strange,
issues with Orthodox views.
tiny, the number of people that think like you in the world is a tiny slither of people that are all indoctrinated in exactly the same way that I was indoctrinated. Oh no, you haven't been indoctrinated, have you?
Thoughts about things myself, yes.
Right.
Yes,
That's what everyone who's been indoctrinated
look.
says. How much? I mean, how
So
many
how
books?
did you-
how many
how did
books
you
have you
reject
read
your
on things like
indoctrination?
logical fallacy?
How did you get out of your indoctrination?
I read parts of some books about logical fallacies.
Well, okay, then you'll probably work out that Judaism is full of them.
No, it's not for logical fallacies. Can you name
So-
one?
So how did you
Please,
shake off your
please.
indoctrination as an
Let's
Orthodox
debate
Jew?
it.
He's got a question for you.
How did you shake off your indoctrination
How
as
did
an
I shake off
Orthodox
my
Jew?
indoctrination as an Orthodox Jew? Yeah. Okay. Basically, I went to Peru and to one of these
I know, it's a lot of Woody
ayahuasca.
Allen films, a bit of cannabis.
What's that? I basically. No, what I did was that I was on a program we were using psychedelics and doing kind of therapy on psychedelics. And then it became clear to me that I'd been brainwashed from a very, very young age, just like you have.
What age were you?
It's obvious. No, what age when I realised it?
No, when you took the drugs.
Oh, when I took the drug. What's
Were
age
you a
got to do
teenager,
with
a
it?
20-year-old, a 30-year-old?
All of those.
Oh, so you're taking drugs all the way through your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying that for the camera.
So you're a dope head,
Obviously, I'm
aren't you?
not.
Dope head.
No. Anyway, so coming back to why would you do it? So you're basically doing it based on the idea that you believe in a really
He's generalising.
commanding, I would say, psychopathic, like kills
Are you
people.
qualified to deliver a medical opinion of psychopathy?
Yeah, you've got psychiatrists.
That's a good question. That's fair enough.
And let's just work out what's your working definition of psychopath.
What it is?
Well, it might help. But
I mean, I have read a book. I have read a book on it.
That's good.
A book. Not great.
That means you are minimally Jewish. But what's your definition of psychopath? Just go on. Go ahead. Take 5 minutes.
Psychopath is someone who doesn't have the ability.
Any bicycles in there?
Someone doesn't have the ability to don't have any conscience.
Who's on the side?
Like someone doesn't have any conscience. Someone could walk past here, see a baby like being stabbed, and just think, "Oh, that's interesting." But they wouldn't say that. Yeah, they would say they learn to act their part. I mean, for example, I know someone who's going through a divorce, and his wife has turned into some kind of narcissistic psychopath. Right?
Some kind of nuts.
I don't know how to describe it. It's weird. She's abusing the children and making up stories and calling the police. Terrible. And every week she makes up new stories.
This friend, is this my friend's gift?
No.
No, it's not you.
So anyway, I mean, listen, I don't care. Let's say God's not a psychopath. If that's what you're saying. You're saying that I can't call God a psychopath because I'm not qualified to speak about psychopathy. I think that's a bit unfair, but I'm sort of figuratively speaking, your God, in my opinion, is a genocidal psychopath. The God of the Bible was genocidal psychopath, and he gets off on goat blood. It's very strange. I don't know what you guys got about goat blood and sprinkling things in the temple.
Right? Isn't he guilty of reading the text literally? My understanding, and a very small understanding of Jewish theology, is that you outlawed the reading of the text in a literal way sometime in the 18th century. Am I correct?
We've never really been in favour of reading.
Well, then we
Right, so he's made a fundamental
for example, when it says in the Bible, Peru or Avu, Umelu et haaretz, exactly. Well, I could argue, and it wouldn't be, such a way out argument, that we've already filled the land. The verse says, "Be fruitful and multiply." This is why these guys are going to reproduce because a verse in the Bible that they've interpreted in a certain way. Yeah? And I interpret it differently. And I am asking them and begging them on behalf of your poor children who want to tell you, through me, leave them alone. Leave them alone, right? Because it says in the Bible, be fruitful and multiply and fill the land. I think 7.8 billion is enough.
Yeah, but there's
Isn't
plenty of
it?
open spaces.
Or do you want more? What do you want?
America
10
is
billion?
empty.
You want 20 billion? You want more people, more problems,
Yeah, but you
more
want less
trouble?
people.
Do you? Is that what you want? And why? Because God said that, and your rabbis interpret it one way, but we're not. I'm interpreting it a different way, and I'm telling you what. Who gave me the license to interpret? Who gives anybody the license to interpret anything?
God gave the rabbis the license to interpret.
How did God give the rabbis the license?
I would like to see that license.
Yes, exactly. Where's the license?
Because
Is that a contract with God's signature?
God gave Moses the oral Torah.
Who did the print job?
Which, as part of the oral Torah, have the rules.
Made a lot of
and
money, I tell you.
Did he get a competitive quote?
Moses to Joshua, through to the elders, through to the prophets, through to the rabbis,
Right.
and they know how to interpret.
Do they?
And you don't.
I don't.
Now, that's the first time I've heard license to.
That's interesting. Well, I'm going to ask you, because the thing is that obviously you realise you've been indoctrinated. Do you see that?
I realise that the nature of education from birth is indeed indoctrination, but I also acknowledge that most people, as they go through their adolescence, their teenage years, will start forming their own opinions and will start thinking more critically about the things they were told.
Oh, really? And what about the things that the other people told you? The things that the rabbis have been telling you?
So those things I've thought critically about, and I've come to the conclusion that they're true.
It's surprising that the majority of Muslims, when they grow up and become critical, just discover that Islam happens to be their true religion. The majority of Jews, when they grow up and think critically, like you say, just happen to discover that Judaism is the true religion. The majority of Christians, when they grow up and become critical, just happen to discover that Christianity is the true religion. Isn't that a bit of a coincidence?
Well, so it's a coincidence. Hyde.
Alright, you stop me.
Perfect.
Become Jewish.
There isn't an answer. There isn't an answer.
In all fairness,
You haven't, but most of us haven't, even scratched the surface of the ability to be really aware of nuance and all sorts of ideas and try and hold them together. And right, most of us are just are not able to think things through for ourselves. And I'm saying to you, that if we were to sit down and you were to actually take what I say seriously, I think you'd find it very difficult for you to justify reproducing. And I personally think it should be illegal for you to reproduce.
Hold on. When you speak about being indoctrinated by other people,
Yes.
just because you believe what you're brought up to believe, that's indoctrination. Maybe you've also come up with a crazy idea that you came up with in a moment and you also haven't really thought it very through. You've got an idea in your head and you just become convinced of it. Who says that just because it wasn't what you were brought up to, that you've actually understood it from proper research?
From what? From proper research?
I mean, maybe you just got this idea in your head and you believe it.
Which idea is that?
Well, like the idea that it should be illegal to breed, or that life is banned.
I don't mind. I'm still waiting for someone to tell me why you should be allowed to breed. What would be the reason? Because you haven't given me a good reason. I personally, we all have to support every single child that's brought into existence. We all have to take care of them. And I have no interest in either of you reproducing. It would be a lot better. It would be much better if you either. It would be much better for society if you were homosexual. And it would be much better if you have a vasectomy. It would be wonderful. I would personally be more than happy to pay for
us all that you're not going to have any more children.
Why won't you be having a vasectomy? I don't understand. Give me one good reason why you should not have a vasectomy.
Well, for a start, you're the wrong gender for me. I'm not really interested in another man, and for a second...
No, you. Why don't you have a vasectomy?
What, with you?
No, a vasectomy is when you have an operation.
Oh, sorry, I misheard you.
Oh, I see, sorry, okay, no.
It's like another kind of...
Oh, have sex with me. You thought I said, do you want to have
That's
sex with me?
what it sounded like.
That is a different question.
Oh.
You've got to speak very clearly.
Yes, okay. No, I'm asking why have you not even considered having...
Having myself mutilated.
You've already been mutilated and when you were 8 days old,
Actually, I was 5.
Why not have a useful and tie a knot in it, and then you won't cause any trouble in there. It's really a problem.
I would say
Create
that's
more problems in the world.
harmful operation rather than useful one.
Why is it harmful? It's not harmful at all. It's actually the most helpful. It helps all the children that you could have had. It leaves them in non-existence. It's
Quite
fantastic.
You know what?
Seriously.
You know what?
This is why I believe that what I'm doing is actually more powerful than Jesus Christ himself. Because Jesus claim that Jesus saved some people, right? Big freaking deal.
Can I answer your question?
How can you save anybody? I mean, there is nobody that can be saved anyway, but let's say they can. Let's say he saved some people.
Save your living children by not
if I can stop even one person from coming into existence, I've saved them and all their descendants.
You know
From
something?
ending up
Can I make a
like
point?
you.
Can I make a point? Yeah. Or me. If I had an option of sending someone back in time to prevent me from being conceived, I would not want that to happen. I would say no. I want the fact that I existed to remain.
Yeah, I understand. That's because
I'm glad that I live. I'm glad that I ego.
Yeah.
It's not an ego. It's a love of life.
Because I personally, if I could go back, I would have said no. Don't bring him here.
Well, that's you. Most people, the vast majority of people are glad that they exist.
No, I'm saying don't bring you here. If I had the choice not to bring, I would not bring you here.
So I'm glad you don't.
Me neither.
So why don't you kill yourself then?
100% of
Even though you're doing all this good work.
So what? It doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference.
But do you not think you as an
So
individual...
you think
Because
non-existence
no,
is
because
better
I've
than
made. Do you know what? Someone said to me today. I don't remember who it was.
What is moral about non-existence?
You're causing more
There's
upset in
nothing
the
there.
world than anybody I know, or something like that. More.
So you think non-existence is moral?
What's that?
What's moral about non-existence?
Moral? It's the ultimate immorality. Non-existence is I know it's wonderful. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm working on a bunch of projects, including starting a religion which I'm going to crowdfund. It's called the House of Nothing, right? Where we are the first religion. We're scrapping the 10 Commandments. You can do what you like with your neighbour's freaking ass. You want to covet your neighbour's ass, do it. If you want to commit adultery, if you want to sleep with someone,
no
do it.
No law?
Do it.
No law.
There are consequences.
So the only
Getting
law is
married,
there's
and
no
sleeping
law.
with someone or whatever. But if you want to do it, do it. It's none of God's business. The only thing that's God's business is to tell you, thou shalt not reproduce.
So the only law
That's
is
the
no law.
only law. Thou shalt not reproduce. And if you don't reproduce, sir, think of how much
We agree with you.
you'd
Don't
say
reproduce
who
anymore.
would want you to be their dad. Hands up if you would want this man to be your dad. Jesus Christ.
Again, you've
tell you
lost
why
the
not.
democratic vote.
In his community, they esteem, and the more children you have, the more esteem, the more amazing it is. That some of them have 10, 12, 14 children
13, 14.
without thinking about the risk that they're taking with somebody else.
I think there's a lot of other factors that they take into esteem, isn't there? I'm not I don't know, academic, but I'm sure there's a lot of other factors that
It's more employees for your
Yeah,
business.
there's lots of things that take into esteem, but I'm talking about reproduction, which is why I'm saying I believe that it's time, because of people like this, it's time to join me in one of my other campaigns to make condoms mandatory. We need to stop these people from reproducing.
What size?
We need to stop these people from reproducing for ridiculous, superstitious reasons. These guys think God wants them to reproduce. I'm telling you, I have a connection with God. He does not want you to reproduce. Please.
Say that.
And if you're Christian, by the way, then be like Jesus and don't reproduce. How can you be a good
do you know
Christian?
he didn't
Jesus
have a-
said,
you know,
I am the way and
Mary
the truth, like
Magdalene,
this guy here.
what's the story there?
This is what I've been trying to explain to this guy ever since.
This guy was in one of my other videos, somewhere in Oxford Circus.
I'm not interested in populations and numbers. I just want to try and prevent people like these, everyone, from reproducing. As many people as I can bring.
Was that actually your fault? At what point do you say actually we've done enough reproducing?
No point. Until there's gone. Well, we'll have to probably do something about the animals as well. They're also
Why don't you just kill everyone?
Sort of joking eugenics.
It's not eugenics. It's not eugenics.
Why don't you just kill everyone?
It's not eugenics. No, it's not eugenics. Because I'm not saying, I'm saying just apply.
I'm not a eugenicist.
Everyone.
That's such a nice Jewish.
There is no, look, these guys cannot morally justify bringing children to existence. The reason they're doing it is to pass on their genetics, which they say, this guy says he's a nice guy, right? So he's a nice guy, he's going to pass on his genetics to by marrying a nice girl, and he's going to have like 7 or 8 children, right? And some of them may not have his nice parts. Some of them may have your not so nice parts that we've all got, right? So you're trying to justify passing on your genetics. What for? What's so good about your genetics? Please, I just don't understand. Being a nice guy, that's not good. Your genetics need to be like that. You have like an amazing body, an amazing physique, an amazing mind, an amazing ability to connect, an amazing ability to create wealth. Or at least have some wealth, right? What was that?
You have children. You have 3. You have 3 children. Yes, I do. And you don't think that you should? You think you should not reproduce? You regret
I don't
having
think anybody should reproduce. It's silly to say, do I regret having them? Because that's just a trap question. At the time, I was doing what everyone else was doing.
Kidnapped.
Yeah, basically.
Some women had a nasty way
into a very nice hotel.
Make breeding illegal. But do you think that your children bring any benefit to the planet? Or at this point are they just a black hole in terms of morality and sucking life out of the planet? Is that what they do?
No, they're not that. But it's not the point. It doesn't matter. Once they're here, I would support them having a really good life in the way that I would see what.
Define a really good life.
Yeah, a really good life would mean a life without financial stress, a life without
millionaire.
stress of children.
You want to change your name to Windsor or something?
Would you let your children marry?
Would I let them marry? I wouldn't want them to marry. I wouldn't go to the wedding. I wouldn't go to the wedding. Because
what about struggling? What about struggling to get
what's a wedding?
Who's going to give them away?
What's to really give them away?
Who's going to give them away?
I'm not giving them away. I don't own them. I mean, basically, let's be honest about what a wedding is. It's when you invite all your friends to witness the fact that you've decided, for some strange reason, especially as a man, that you're only going to go dipping into this woman ever in your whole life. And you're going to celebrate that. That is not something to celebrate. They've tricked you, guys. They've tricked you to make a celebration of the fact that you're going to limit yourself to just this one.
Are you married as well as having 3 children? Are you married as having...
Mind your own business, you cheeky monkey.
That's what you're saying.
Are you loyal? Are you loyal to your wife?
I'm not married.
Oh, how did you manage to get away with it? How old are you?
I'm youthful, me personally. 38.
38, and you managed to get away without getting married. How did you do it?
I didn't attempt to.
Oh, right. Well done anyway. Keep it that way. Anyway, where were we? So we're still trying to understand how you can possibly justify reproducing, right? This guy says that
you set yourself up as the moral judge here
for the next generation so that they can have a good life. But like,
you don't need to
I just don't understand. Like, does anybody here think that the world needs some more of his genes?
Well, his genes are pretty much like his genes.
You don't know anything about him, for God's sake.
Yeah, we did that joke half an hour ago.
No. Please, don't upset me.
The old ones in a good
Please, don't upset me. 23, 21, and 13.
Is that your measurements?
Will I? I'll tell you mine. Yeah. Of course I will. Of course I will. That's what they say to the women. Yeah? When their clock is ticking. Yeah?
But how are you going to stop them
for the end of their freedom? Yeah.
Have you noticed? I've just noticed.
Yeah, you do. Of course you do. Why? Why do you think you should
how are you going to stop a rabbit breeding?
Nobody ever asked this question before they do it. I want you to answer as deeply as you possibly. Let's go deep. Why do you want to have children?
I want to have
Why do you want to have children?
I don't know. I think it's Is it going to be on YouTube or what?
No, whatever. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. You may not have thought of it before.
No, I always wanted to have.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's like instinct or something.
Yeah.
And
you need to be careful about your instinct, because your instinct will get you into shitloads of trouble. Do you know that? If you listen to your instinct, that's the thing, you see. The human being.
Well, everyone wants to have children one day.
Everyone wants to have children one day, really?
I mean,
have you never met anybody who doesn't want?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not educated in this, so I don't really answer. But to be honest, I want to have.
important for you to educate yourself in this, because otherwise you might have. You might have a child accidentally one day. You might let someone.
No, I know
and
how
take
to
a
protect
risk.
myself.
Well, maybe.
I know how to protect myself.
Good.
I'm going to one. I'm not silly.
You won't know how to protect yourself when you start, all your friends start getting married and start having children.
Well, they are already getting married.
Yeah, they are. Are they having children? Are they having,
No, really.
Are they having children?
No.
Good. Why would you bring a child into the world now?
Well, I want to bring children because then I will educate them how to make the world better.
Right, so you're going to bring your children in, go through all the palaver with the nappies and all the crap and all the anguish and the risks of them not turning out even able to understand that or not even be interested in that. They could be psychos, they could be ill, they could be all sorts of things, right? And so you bring someone into existence so that you can mold them, right, into your ways of thinking, because they're so good, right? You can mold them into your way of thinking. That is, I know what I'm about to say is like so radical, it's mental, right? But it is a serious form of narcissism. You're nuts. You're literally fruitful if you think that you're going to bring someone into existence and against all the forces,
Maybe
one
I'm gonna
second,
make
let me finish.
amazing forces in the world. We're gonna bring something good to life.
Of course you are. Right?
So you think we should just all die and no humans?
We are going to go. Well, all of us are going to die anyway. Yeah?
But
As
like,
far as I know. I mean, I don't know, maybe ask this guy.
No, I just thought it was news.
I think you're confused.
You think I'm confused? What am I confused about?
I think when you have a daughter or son,
I have three, a girl and 2 boys.
so when your mom's gonna tell you I'm pregnant, you're gonna be happy. Yeah. And you're gonna celebrate, and then it's gonna be different for you, I think.
that would be a
to see
funny
this
day.
little baby, it's gonna.
Hello, Dad, I'm pregnant.
The funny thing about babies is that they're incredibly cute, and then they grow up.
Well, if you raise them in a bad way, obviously they're gonna be criminals,
Yeah.
bad people. But if you
raise them the
take
right
care of
way,
them,
then they'll definitely come out right.
yeah,
As long
I mean,
as
well, it's psychology.
as long as you
have
don't
to
mind
be-
sharing their upbringing with Instagram, TikTok,
I'm not talking about
YouTube.
social media. Why you're
Yeah, but no, because
But-
you're trying to suggest to me you want to bring someone into existence, and I'm saying I think you're suffering from a serious form of narcissistic delusion. If you think that your ideology and way of thinking is in any way like
better.
good,
Well,
right?
it's the same to you.
Right? In any way good, and that you can, that it's so wonderful that you're going to pass it on to this next being, and it's all going to. I mean, it's nuts. Seriously nuts. And it's the same nuts that your parents. It's the same nuts. It's the same nuts. It's the same madness as your parents had. They just had this fairy tale, strange, ill thought through idea. Do you know how much it costs to bring a child up?
I know. Listen.
How much?
I'm gonna have children one day. You can be against that,
Yes.
but we can all live peacefully.
Yes,
right?
happily ever after.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to let you know one thing. I want to implant an idea in your mind. Yeah. When the baby starts screaming, the minute it comes out of your legs, having been in such you writhing in agony.
Well, it's
Yeah. Yeah. And the baby starts screaming, and you've just had a cesarean section. Yeah. And the baby sort of comes out. You're not sure if the baby's okay or not, right? And the baby starts screaming and yelling.
what you're
Yeah.
trying to say.
In that moment,
Well,
you
it's
might think,
natural. Children all cry.
maybe I shouldn't just trust my instinct. Maybe just because I want to do something, those are the things that I should be very, very careful and very, very thoughtful before I do them. Especially when they involve a whole life of another human being.
Why did you bring your children to this world?
Exactly, that's what
Why?
I'm trying to ask you the question before you do it. I didn't ask that question until after I did it.
Have your children turned out all right?
Yes, they've turned out
You
amazingly
don't
well.
like talking about your children.
What's that?
You don't like to talk about your children.
No, I don't like to talk about my children. This has nothing to do with my children. It's
Well,
irrelevant.
because
The
it's
argument is
hypocrite.
the
You have
argument.
Your children, but you
Okay.
don't want other people to have
Okay, fine. You really haven't thought that one through, have you? Then? That hypocrisy argument, it's silly.
No, but you,
Do you want me to explain why?
no. That's
Right. Yeah, of course you have to go. Off you go. That's the noise you're going to hear and it's going to drive you nuts. Yeah, of course you are.
She's gonna love it.
Yeah, right. Until you get postnatal depression. What's that? You're not going to get that?
That's it. I think that was the public 1, Danny Shine 0.
Passing phenomenon. It's easy for you to say.